What is happening, everyone? It's Jeff Lightsey Jr. here with the Black Boss channel. Thank you guys for the continued support. As you enter the chat, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. We're going to be talking today about the NFL and everything that is taking place in the league right now. As you guys know, COVID is real. COVID-19 is taking place all throughout the United States, all throughout the world, but it is drastically affecting the NFL. We saw the NBA finish their season because of the bubble, right? Well, the NFL didn't have a bubble, so they are having a lot of issues. One of the issues is their attempt to put on games and their contact tracing that takes place when you contract the virus. And that contact tracing has led the Denver Broncos to not have a starting quarterback available for today's game. You heard that right. There is not one starting quarterback. The Broncos will play the Saints today, and they do not have a starting quarterback on their roster. They're so dismantled because of COVID and contact tracing. The Broncos will probably play a wide receiver at quarterback today. That is how bad it has gotten in the NFL. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. And it's not just the Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens. It just feels like their whole team, their whole team isn't going to play simply because of COVID. Not Lamar Jackson, not Mark Andrews, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram. The list goes on and on. And their game, they were supposed to play it on Thursday, Thanksgiving, and it's got pushed back to Tuesday. And then they have to turn around and play another game on Thursday next week. It's getting ridiculous. It is getting outrageous. The NFL has a problem on their hands, and people are wondering if they're going to cancel the season because there's so many cases and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop. And my answer to that is hell no, they're not canceling the season. There is way too much money on the line. There is way too much. There's just, when it comes down to money, things are hard to get done. Like when you can lose a large amount of money and a large sum of money, you see people tend to act differently. And this is the same with the NFL. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. Listen to this story that the Broncos tried to do, right? So the Broncos are so decimated at quarterback that they tried to sign one of their assistant coaches to come play quarterback for them. This is a story from ESPN. So it says the Denver Broncos are expected to start undrafted rookie practice squad wide receiver Kendall Hinton at quarterback Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. But the team wanted their starting quarterback to be Rob Calabrese, their offensive quality control coach for the past 2 years, sources told ESPN. Denver felt Calabrese had the strongest command of the offense and he could run the system better than anybody, sources told ESPN. The league denied those requests that they made throughout the day Saturday, saying that the Broncos cannot activate a coach to their active roster. This is how bad it's getting, y'all. They tried to sign their coach to the team. They tried to sign their coach to the team to the active roster because they're that decimated. Now, a lot of you all may be wondering, well, call Cap. Where's Cap? Kaepernick. And rightfully so. Kaepernick should have a job. But the only problem with having Kaepernick and why it won't happen, there's several reasons why it won't happen. But in this case, why he won't get signed to the Broncos is because of all the procedures the league has made to play football this year. Like the COVID-19 procedures, you have to be with the team a week and get tested for an entire week straight and prove that you're not positive before you can sign to the active roster. So that's why Kaepernick can't get a shot. It's not like they can sign him. They could have signed him yesterday or 2 days ago. He learned as much of the playbook as he can and then played today. Like that's not how the NFL works this year, simply because of COVID-19 and all the things that are going on. So Kaepernick was never a realistic option. It just wasn't going to happen. So I mean, the Broncos find themselves in a hellhole. I mean, it is not ideal. It is not fun. It's not going to be fun. Like I said, I mean, we're trying to sign coaches to the roster. That lets you know that it's not the move. Now let's go back to the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see, the ever-changing, up-to-date numbers in Baltimore appear to be these for the moment. So this is about an hour ago from Adam Schefter. 11 players have tested positive for COVID. 20 players have been added to the reserve COVID list. So basically, not only 11 players tested positive, but 20 players have been around someone who has COVID. So 20 players are inactive because of the COVID list. And 10 staffers have tested positive for COVID. So Baltimore is going to be without 20 players and 10 coaches on the staff, including their tight end, who's a type 1 diabetic. So they're being extra careful with Mark Andrews. I mean, it's just a mess, y'all. Like the NFL right now is a mess, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. It doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. They've already added a playoff team, right? So because they knew COVID was going to be real, they knew COVID was going to affect a lot of the games. They added an extra playoff team. Now only one team gets a bye. But if you have teams that can't play games, some teams, majority of the teams play 16 games, while some teams like the Ravens may only have to play 15 games. Like that's not what you want. That is not what you want as an organization. Um, it's not what you want to see as a league, right? So as a league, I'm here to ask, leave your comments down below. Do you think the league should shut down? Like, do you believe the NFL should continue? Leave your comments down below. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, and we'll discuss it because it's not looking good. It is not looking good at all. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens are supposed to be one of the best teams in the league this year, and they've kind of disappointed simply because of what's taking place with Lamar. People knowing that their scheme, their offensive scheme hasn't developed, their offensive playbook hasn't expanded at all. Right, like they look very vanilla, very bland, but they expected to be better. Now we're talking about two games, at least minimum two games this week. Well, both the games this week on Tuesday and Thursday. They won't have half their starters, right? Like they won't have 20 players from their roster. So they're probably gonna lose both those games, right? And and now you go from a Super Bowl favorite, my team to win the Super Bowl, to a team that may be under 500 after two games. That's rough. That's rough. The COVID monster is biting the Ravens in the ass, and it is rough. And I feel sorry for them. The same with the Denver Broncos aren't any good, right? But dang, I mean, you have to be pretty doggone desperate if you're trying to sign a coach, a quality control coach, to your active roster. Like you can't, I mean, there's no other way to explain it. There's no other way to explain it. And these are issues that the other sports either didn't have. You basketball, you didn't have it at all. You had zero positive tests while you were in the bubble. But that's why you created a bubble so you wouldn't have these problems. Or baseball, right? Like baseball had some outbreaks. Remember early the Marlins had a bad outbreak. Remember the St. Louis Cardinals had a bad outbreak early. But but baseball, one, the rosters aren't nearly as big. Two, playing the game of baseball is a lot more simple than playing the game of football. There's not plays you got to remember. There's not like the language is universal in baseball. The language is ever changing. From if you go from one team to another team in football, it's like you've known English your whole life. Now you gotta learn Spanish. But if you go to another team, now you gotta learn Chinese. Go to another team, now you gotta learn Latin or Portuguese. Like it's ever changing. And so it's hard to plug and play guys, right? Like it's hard to just grab a dude up off the street and just play them. And it's a violent sport. It's physical. It's dangerous. So when you try to do that, you're risking somebody. I mean, hell, you're risking their life if you play somebody who's incompetent. You play someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You're putting someone's life in danger because this is a physical, violent sport. And so, I just want to know whether you guys think the season is going to end. I think the season, see, I had a buddy of mine say earlier today that he gives the season 2 weeks before they call it quits. And I'm like, you out of your dang on mind. And here's why. There's hundreds of millions of dollars on the table. There's no way in hell you mean to sit here and tell me these billionaire owners are going to let a few COVID cases Stop them from getting their billions. Stop them from getting their hundreds of millions. Because guess what? These players' checks still got to clear. And the players association agreed to play the season. So guess what they're gonna do? They are going to play the entire season, and they're going to collect their check every week. And so you can't tell me that these folks don't want to collect their check, that these folks don't want to get paid, that these folks aren't going to finish this year. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, though. The Baltimore Ravens are in a bad spot. The Denver Broncos are in a bad spot. But I want to see how the NFL continues to adjust. We see what college basketball is trying to do. It's not working very well, but they're trying their best. We see what college football and the issues that they're running into. They're trying. It's not going great, but they're trying. And now we see the issues that the NFL is having, where a team is trying to sign their coach to the active rosters, how bad that this season's been going with COVID. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. Once again, I'm Jeff Lighty Jr. with the Black Boss channel. Thank you guys. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and I will see you guys next time.